Hello and welcome to this video on the IUPAC nomenclature of ketones. So let's first of all begin by understanding what ketones are. Now, ketones are characterized by the functional group C double bond O, and it is attached to two carbons. Now these could be alkyl groups, alkenyl groups, alkynyl groups, they could be aryl groups, they could be any of these groups. And this part is attached to two carbon atoms or two groups on each side, and we call this as the ketone. This part is the ketone. So how are we going to name it? Well, we identify the total number of carbons in the carbon chain, the parent chain, based on all the nomenclature parts that we have done. But remember, the parent chain must include this carbon. Numbering is done to give the lowest number to this carbon. And remember, whenever I'm talking about these things in any video, please understand I'm assuming that there are no other functional groups, or at least there are no other functional groups which have a higher priority than a ketone. So this is a carbon that must be included in the carbon chain, and based on the total number of carbon chain, get the root of the name, which is alk, ken. Remember, it was coming from an alkane, and we have to end it with on. Though on is spelled as is pronounced as one, here we call it on. And since it starts with a vowel, there's a vowel here. Remove the last vowel of the alkane, it becomes alkanone. So if you have a huge carbon chain containing the C double bond O, ensure that the C double bond O is included in the carbon chain, give it the lowest possible number, and the name becomes alkanone. If there are two ketones, then you can include the E of the alkane and make it a dione, alkane dione, alkane trione, etc. So the first point is that the ketones are named by replacing the suffix "ane" with "anone." If there is more than one carbonyl group, the suffix is expanded to include a prefix that indicates the number of carbonyl groups present. Ane dione, ane trione. Remember, we are not missing out on this E, whereas here the E was excluded. Alright, the next part is that you must also include the position number, meaning if it is alkanone, and since the ketone carbon always occurs somewhere in the middle of the chain, somewhere inside the chain, so the position number can be depicted like this: alken P on. P represents the carbon on which the ketone carbon is present. So the position of the carbonyl group on the parent chain is indicated by placing the numbers corresponding to the location of the parent chain directly in front of the base name. Now, whenever you number it, as I already said, the carbonyl group will take precedence over alkyl groups or halogen substituents, or for that matter even double and triple bonds. And if double bonds and carbonyl groups are present, then remember the name of the alkene, remove the last E, you get alkenone. So when both double bonds and carbonyl groups are present, the N suffix follows the parent chain directly, and the on suffix follows the N suffix. Notice, remember that we have removed the last E. And if double bonds are present, then you must also indicate their numbers. So this is how we do it. We call it alk PN Q on, where P represents the place where the double bond is there, and Q represents the place where the ketone carbon is there. So the location of the double bond is indicated before the parent name as before, and the location of the carbonyl group is indicated before the N, between the N and the on suffix. And If there is a choice in numbering, you get same numbers on either side, then the logic goes by this, that if there is a choice in numbering not previously covered, the parent chain is numbered to give the multiple bonds, double bonds, substituent, etc. the lowest number. So if you're going to get the ketone, the same number on either side, start from the end where the multiple bonds or the double bonds or the substituents in that order get the lowest possible number. Now the smallest ketone is a ketone that requires at least 3 carbon atoms, because remember the ketone carbon has to be in the middle and it has to be attached to 2 carbon atoms. So this is the simplest ketone. We call it, based on the IUPAC system, remember there are 3 carbon atoms, it's propane, and we need to add one, remove the last E, it is propanone. Its common name is acetone, which is also used in the IUPAC system. Again, we don't have to say 2 propanone, because propanone has to be 2, there is no other way. You cannot have 1 propanone or 3 propanone. Okay, look at this one. What do you think would the name of this be? Pause the video, check, write down the name and then check it back by playing the video again. Now what you need to do is, you can see there are 4 carbon atoms. It's butane, it's one, it's butanone. Now should we write the number here? Well, I don't think you need to write the number here, because if the double bond O, instead of being here, had it been here, the name would have still been butanone, because if you number it, then you would write but2-one or butane-2-one. But if the double bond over here, even then it is going to be butane-2-one. So wherever the double bond is there in the middle, the name is the same, so the number is not required. This is butanone. Check out this one. Try to find the name here. Well, pause the video and then check out the name that you've written down with the name that is given in this video. So here the numbering has to be done from the right side. We need to give the first carbonyl carbon the lowest number, 1, 2. If I were to number it from this end, the first carbonyl carbon gets 3. So what do you think the name of this is? This is going to be butane. Now I'm going to include the E of the alkane, because it's going to be a dione system. Butane 2,4-dione. Now let's use the multiple bonds here. Pause, write the name, play it back. Which is the parent chain? Of course, there is only one parent chain. And where do we number it from? Left or right? We need to number it from the right, because we need to give the ketone carbon, the carbonyl carbon, the lowest possible number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's spent 4N2-one. And this is the last example. Check out this one. Parent chain, first identify the parent chain, pause the video, write it down, play it back. So here we go. The parent chain is this one, the one which contains the carbon-carbon as well as maximum number of multiple bonds. Number it obviously from the right side to give the ketone carbon the lowest number, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And in 4 you have ethyl, in 3 you have methyl. So 4 ethyl, 3 methyl, oct, 5N, 7 ine, 2-one. 4 ethyl, 3 methyl, oct, 5N, 7 ine, 2-one. So that is the basic nomenclature of ketones with multiple carbonyl carbons and in the presence of double or triple bonds. I hope you have understood all the examples that we have done, and I hope this video helps you in understanding the nomenclature of ketones. If you have any questions, any comments that you want to leave, please leave them below this video at the comment section. Thanks for watching.